Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. This is episode 240. The Week 16 recap. I'm your host, John June. And of course, got my guy, Greg Penniman here. It is a Tuesday morning, not what you're quite used to hearing from, or not when you're quite used to hearing from us on this recap, but at least we'll recap all the games here. But Greg, how you doing today, my brother?
Yeah, Tuesday morning, kind of like, we're like the NFL. Yeah, we touch all days of the season sometimes, but we're here. We're ready to go. I mean, I'm doing all right as far as fantasy, and I'm not really doing all right. I'm here for the motivation of the people, so I'm trying to get these people the chips for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Greg's. I mean, obviously, you and I were both eliminated from the League of Extraordinary People last week. We both of our teams in true fashion. The only way it could go down. Both of our teams went off in the League of Extraordinary People this week, at least players on our teams that we definitely counted on last week went off, or would have counted on last week went off. But also we were eliminated in a team that we co-managed together. We were feeling really pretty after Thursday night with Antonio Brown, or AJ Brown rather, going off for us. But it was kind of all just downhill from there. And I was just telling you off the air, like, I have only one team left. And since, what is this, our third year podcasting, Greg, third year doing this podcast, like in the last 3 years, like this is the least amount of teams I've had left in a fantasy final. So the way my luck is going, I'd be surprised if I even come away with a championship this year. But let's move on to the recap. We got a recap for the people here, starting with the quarterback position, as we always do, and the number one quarterback on the week. I know you and I were both on him. We weren't start of the week on him, but we were on him. Joe Burrow, 37 completions, 47 attempts, 525 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 2 rush attempts for 11 rushing yards. That was good for 38.1 fantasy points. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Joey B?
Yeah, another probably definitely the best game of performance stats wise. Another epic performance against Baltimore. He kind of owns them right now. Just putting up huge numbers against this team. So yeah, Joey B doing what he's got to do, man. I was always definitely a believer in this guy. He's one of the top young quarterbacks in the game. He's really put a stamp on it now. And he's got probably the best, one of the best skills group cores that he's, with Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase. Like, that's really good weapons to have for him for, rest of the season, for dynasty, everything.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were poo-pooing the draft pick of Jamar Chase, talking about, hey, this guy needs an offensive line, and they go out there and do what they did. I mean, 2 games against the Ravens, you highlighted he owns them. In 2 games against the Ravens, he's got 900 passing yards.
But yeah, he's got 900. Yeah, that's great.
He's got 900 passing yards. He's got 7 touchdowns to just 1 interception across 2 games this year. He pretty much has owned them this year. Again, Baltimore has not been great. They have not been a good secondary. The defense has been decimated. Injuries, COVID. So I think the dam finally broke in Baltimore this past weekend. But yeah, Joe Burrow was, like you said, he's one of the top young quarterbacks in the NFL, and he showed that not just this week, but he showed that with his performance throughout this season. So definitely big ups to him. The quarterback 2 on the week. This was a long time coming. It just felt like it was coming. Didn't know when, but it was coming. Dak Prescott, 28 of 39, 330 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 4 rush attempts for 21 yards. That was good for 31.3 fantasy points in a performance against the Washington football team. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Dak Prescott?
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't get it done the first time against Washington, but he definitely made up for it in the second time. the score was like 42-7 by halftime almost. It felt like it was an obliteration. I mean, he played well finally after just a horrible stretch of like play. So it's definitely timing is definitely weird, but yeah, he came through.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more about him being on our bench in in our team. We definitely some missed opportunities there. The quarterback 3 on the week. I did not have him rated this high. Did not think he would finish this high in this matchup here, but he did it. Josh Allen, 30 of 47, 314 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 rush attempts for 64 yards. So that toe must be feeling nice. That was good for 31 fantasy points there. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Josh Allen?
Yeah, Josh Allen was the MVP of this game. This was like an MVP performance in this game at New England, doing what he's got to do, putting up 33 against, I think, the best defense in the league. Like he did it, right? This is definitely one of the top performances you see this season. It was very impressive. He really went toe to toe with Belichick.
Definitely went toe to toe with Belichick. One of the things, I thought that was interesting, right? Like you see, they're up 26. I forget what the score was. It was like 26-14 or something like that. And you're like, okay, Buffalo, you're in the lead. You can put this game away. And then you see New England come back and they make it 21-26 with, I think, like 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter or something like that. And you're like, I've seen this movie so many times. It's just a different actor. Instead of Tom Brady, it's Mac Jones now. But I've seen this movie so many times. But Josh Allen was not having any of it, man.
Closed.
He put the foot on the throat, and he closed this game out. Able to close it out and secure a 33-21 final victory. So, big ups to him. It's just amazing watching his growth and his maturation. Playing quarterback, the development that there's like a few people on planet Earth that could make some of the plays that Josh Allen makes with his arms and his legs. So definitely big ups to that. Rounding out the top 12 of quarterbacks, the QB4 on the week, Zach Wilson, the QB5, Patrick Mahomes, the QB6, Kyler Murray, the QB7, Aaron Rodgers, 8, Josh Johnson, 9, Davis Mills, 10, Carson Wentz, 11, Justin Herbert, and 12, Nick Foles. Greg, your thoughts on any of these top 12 performances?
Big ups to Zach Wilson, one of the plays of the week, with that rushing touchdown. It's pretty nice. Patrick Mahomes doing what he got to do. It's official. If whoever's starting at Baltimore quarterback, there's going to be a QB1. That's kind of like the rule now. Whoever's is, they figured out who to have the personnel at quarterback and what to do and fit to the style of the offense. Like that's don't realize why other teams would do that. Just get the same quarterback that they have. Style-wise.
Well, I mean, Josh Johnson, like people were like sleeping on Josh Johnson coming into this, but I was like, I mean, this guy came off the bench for the Jets and threw 300 yards in like
and a half,
3 quarters. I mean, and this is an NFL veteran, so I actually was not surprised by the performance. I knew he wasn't going to have as much of the rushing while he is athletic. That's not really his style of play to run the ball as much as these other guys do. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, Baltimore, they built a system around Lamar Jackson, and to the point where their backup quarterbacks are built like similarly to Lamar Jackson. So I definitely love that. That's good team building right there. Yeah, and Zach Wilson rushing for, having the highlight 53-yard rushing touchdown, but 91 yards rushing in this game, which was turns out to be a franchise record there for the New York Jets. And then Patrick Mahomes, man, finishing as the quarterback 5 with no Travis Kelce. Did get Tyreek Hill, didn't get much from him, but did have him out there. But what about Davis Mills, man? This guy is just constantly having respectable quarterback finishes. I mean, he's consistently finishing. I could fact check this outside of maybe Mac Jones. Like, I don't think any quarterback's finishing as close to the top 12 or in the top 12 as often as Davis Mills has. I mean, even if you do a percentage of his starts, right? I think that you would, I can check this later, but yeah, he's been respectable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got this year's thrown over 300 times, 3 times. Like that, he's been doing what he's got to do. Oh, got a couple multi-touchdown games, got a fast touchdown game. But the situation, like he's done a lot for this team, more than expectations for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't a third-round pick, like we would be talking about Davis Mills as potentially being like the quarterback of the future in Houston, right? Like, I think that's definitely possible.
Yeah, they just need some talent around him. They need something around him.
Definitely. I mean, go and do what you did in that game yesterday without Brandon Cooks, like your top wide receiver. Throwing to a bunch of guys.
Shout out to Rex Burkett.
Yeah, Rex Burkett just.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but just being the GOAT. Speaking of GOATs, let's talk about some Jags. Tom Brady finished as the quarterback 17.
2 straight weeks. I mean, if you didn't make it from last week, I don't know how. You probably didn't start him this week after the motion that he put you through last week.
Well, actually, I do want to shout out one honorable mention, Russell Wilson. If you happen to go out with him, right, finishes a quarterback 14, that's respectable.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
16.5 points, right? Not quite Davis Mills, but it's there. It's in the same range of territory. So, some other Jags. I mean, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill. That game was weird. Both receivers go off, but the quarterbacks are just not really a part of it.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford. For a 30-23 game, I would have thought he would definitely get more than what he got.
Yeah, well, Sony Michel ends up getting a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
There was also a punt return for a touchdown in that game. So some of that, it was just a rough. And then Matthew Stafford with 3 interceptions. It's just like, what is you doing?
Yeah, man.
Ben Roethlisberger, he'd had stretches of.
Oh yeah, I mean he just needs to go, man. Just please.
No, I mean but I could totally see people out there saying, "Hey, Ben Roethlisberger, you can play him this week." I know we didn't really say it, but the matchup was relatively nice. Not relatively nice. I think game flow wise, you could probably talk yourself into it after playing some good weeks. But yeah.
I mean, this team hasn't scored a touchdown in the first half. I thought I saw that. Been like how many get 3 straight games? Something crazy, something ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Ian Book, 2 points.
Stop, Ian Book. I know.
I just wanted to say, man, because that was bad. It was like one of the worst quarterback performances that we've seen all year.
I mean, he still finished higher than Jake Fromm, the Giants quarterback. So, like, let's talk about how bad the Giants offense is as a whole all season. That no one could get it down on the team.
The real measure of success here should be is like, did he have more or less points than Kendall Hinton did in his one start?
That's true. That's true.
And the answer is no. Or he did have more fantasy points than Kendall Hinton, because Kendall Hinton had negative fantasy points.
Oh, okay, there you go. So Drake Fromm did better too. There you go. I'm nice. Nice. Go.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it with the quarterbacks. Let's move on to the running backs. The number one running back on the week. If you pick this man up to start him, you are feeling real nice. Justin Jackson, 11 carries, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did the best Austin Eckler impression that you could possibly do, catching 8 of 9 targets for 98 yards. Did lose a fumble. So sorry if you lost by 2 points or less, but 34.2 PPR points there on the day for Justin Jackson. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Justin Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, really good performance. Probably the best of the season by far. He's had starting opportunities, I think, this season. Definitely come through in this situation. I mean, great matchup. We saw this happening for sure. But like the number one starting, as far as the receiving he got, that's really what put him over the top with the 8 for 98. So that's what's up. The only one on this team really that play well.
Yeah, Justin Jackson was a great pickup. I know that we had talked about him on the news had kind of broke that Austin Eckler was on the COVID list on Monday. He wasn't officially on the COVID list, but he was a guy that I think I woke up on Tuesday in a few leagues and he was not claimed, just out there So I, was able to add him and put him in my lineup, and I, made a last minute decision to start him over one said Saquon Barkley, and that worked out to be a wonderful decision.
That's not a hard decision. That wasn't a hard decision.
You're right. It wasn't hard, but like the Yahoo projection was throwing me off because like Saquon Barkley was projected for like all these points, and I'm like, oh well. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Justin Jackson.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Justin Jackson did a great job. Moving on to the RB2 on the week, Joe Mixon, 18 carries, 65 yards, 1 touchdown there. This is where it really gets nice, though, because we were talking about his lack of involvement in the passing game. Well, Cincinnati comes out, gives him 6 targets where he catches all 6 of them for 70 receiving yards and another touchdown there. Good for 31.5 PPR points. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Joe Mixon?
Yeah, Joe Mixon's a beast. I mean, he's been really doing well this last couple of years, just staying healthy, getting the volume. Like he's really, come to fruition for this draft pick, and it's this dynasty stock as well for people that have him. So yeah, he's been balling. The volume is going to continue with this team for years to come.
Nah, man. I mean, you just brought up Joe Mixon dynasty, and that just took me back because I think when he was coming out, it was Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and I remember saying at that time, like, yo, Joe Mixon's my number one back.
Yeah.
Because I was just so high on him when he was coming out of Oklahoma, and reminded me so much of Le'Veon Bell, back in his Pittsburgh days, and you see some of that still. But yeah, Joe Mixon. I mean, the only question with him has been this season is he going to get the pass game working? Because when he does that, he's here as a top 3 running back.
Right.
So he's other than that, he's been more than solid this year. The running back 3 on the week, a waiver wire hero, if there is ever one, Sir Rex Burkhead. 22 carries, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns there, 2 targets, 2 receptions, no yards, but that was good for 28.9 PPR points there. Greg, your thoughts and performance here by Rex Burkhead?
Yeah, those two catches make you RB3 though. That's for sure. I mean, yeah, Rex Burkhead, definitely a guy that when you get the starting opportunity, he is productive. So that's one of the reasons why I picked him in one of my leagues. And another reason is that the Chargers have no rush defense. Like it just shows that they haven't fixed it all year. It's going to be a problem. It'll probably be the reason they won't make the playoffs if they don't. They literally can't stop any running back.
Yeah, it's definitely tough for the Chargers. They can't. Like I've said this on, the Now We Have Liftoff New York Jets podcast, because as a Jets fan, I kind of suffered through the same thing watching the Jets' inability to stop the run. And when you can't stop the run, it's one of the most demoralizing things in football. The other team knows you can't stop them. You know that you can't stop them. They know they're going to run the ball. You know they're going to run the ball, and there's nothing you could do about it. They're just going to pound the ball down your throat, and that's what the Chargers have had done to them now for about 15 weeks of an NFL season. So tough sledding there for the Chargers. But rounding out this top 12 here, the RB4 on the week, Damian Harris. The RB5, Nick Chubb. 6, Chase Edmonds. 7, David Montgomery. That was Greg's start of the week there. 8, Sony Michel. 9, Rashad Penny. 10, Devin Singletary. 11, Ezekiel Elliott. And 12, Ronald Jones. Again, filling in admirably there. Greg, any of these top 12 stuck out to you?
Yeah, some big names in here. Nick Chubb, Damian Harris, closing out well on this pretty solid season. Again, Rashad Penny making it into his list, which was nice. Of course, seeing all my players: Damian Harris, Najee Harris, Damian Harris, and yeah, Michael Carter. I think a lot of big names came through this week actually, so it was good at the running back position.
Yeah, definitely some big names came through for you there. Devin Singletary is another guy. He's been ever since the last few weeks. He's just been assuming that like RB1 position there for the Buffalo Bills. Sony Michel seems like he'll be an RB1 type player rest of season with the injury news that we got on Daryl Henderson being out for the rest of the regular season. Chase Edmonds, if you were paying attention on Christmas to anything football related and you got the news of James Conner being inactive, kudos to you if you were able to react to that. I know, Greg, I had done it in all my other leagues except for the league that we co-manage. I don't know why I didn't even think of it. Part of me forgot that we even had him. But I wish that could have made that switch there in that league. But it is what it is. Things happen. But Chase Edmonds finally gets the opportunity here that I'd been talking about all year. We've been talking about James Conner's going to get hurt, guys. Just didn't know it was going to take until week 16 here for that to happen. But Ezekiel Elliott, 2 touchdowns on the day. Damian Harris, a 3-touchdown day there. So that's big for him. Any other honorable mentions that you want to throw out there, Greg?
No, yeah, I mean, the reason why we were pretty stacked at running back, I mean, the Jags is really where, like, our running backs came into play. Wow. All these other players.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sony Michel, I mean, where he heard it first, man. We told you to get Sony Michel for, since, week 7, I feel like week 8. So, yeah. Sony Michel definitely coming to fruition now.
Definitely. And then big ups to, Jeff Wilson. He's a guy that was a hot waiver wire pickup 2 weeks ago. I know you were shouting him out as somebody to play. I completely skipped over him, I think, before that game, but you were like, nah, Jeff Wilson. Michael Carter, his first career 100-yard day. Nice. I've been really high on Michael Carter. I know people are going to be like, oh, of course you're high on Michael Carter. He's a Jet. I was high on Michael Carter before he ever put on a Jets uniform or was ever drafted to the New York Jets. Really love the player, and he's been getting better every week. Don't know anybody else really sticks out as a honorable mention here, but we'll talk about some Jags, man. And I think I don't even really feel right calling him a Jag. I'm just gonna throw him out there from a fantasy perspective. You probably didn't get what you wanted, but he was the same player that he's always been, and that was Jonathan Taylor, finishing as the RB24. You obviously expect more from him, especially when he has 27 rush attempts, finishes with 108 yards. But then when you consider my man was playing with he's playing with third and fourth string offensive linemen. There was no Quentin Nelson, no Ryan Kelly, no Eric Fisher. All the start, 3 or 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line were missing from this game. Jonathan Taylor still goes out and averages 4 yards a carry on 108 rushing yards. Doesn't get a touchdown there, so you would hope that he could get in the end zone and it would make for a much better day. But it is what it is with JT, man.
Yeah, I mean, RB2 performance, though, that's good for consistency. It's just expectations. That's all. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. And then there's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, my running back start of the week. And you know what? It's funny because I was feeling less and less confident about the start of the week as the week was. As you get Tyreek Hill's coming back, and then there was a possibility Travis Kelce could play, and so I was feeling less and less confident about it. But still, I still feel like he would have had a respectable day had he not gotten injured. Had a collarbone injury in the second, or that he suffered in the second half of this game. But still finished as 10 with 10.1 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So it's not terrible.
No.
Cordell Patterson, that's another one that you and I were having a conversation about. Finished as the RB33, 8.3 PPR points, saved his day with a touchdown. If he doesn't get that touchdown, we're talking about a 2.3 day here for Cordell Patterson. 7 carries, 14 yards, the aforementioned touchdown, 2 targets, 1 reception, -1 yard. How confident are you continuing to roll Cordell Patterson out there in these coming weeks, especially this week as we get fantasy championship week?
I mean, the matchup is pretty tough. They're at Buffalo, so that's rough. The volume has also trended down the last couple of weeks as well. So if we're just going off, those facts, I probably would try to find a better matchup. If you can't, then you have to roll with your guy. But if you have a more favorable matchup, if you can benefit from COVID, I mean, this is the time to just be on your phone, just waiting for COVID news to come out and just pick up the RB2 or the next guy on the depth chart. and yeah, make it happen to get that play.
Yeah, it's interesting with Cordell Patterson, right? Because he has position flexibility on some sites, right, where he's got running back and wide receiver eligibility. So the way I've kind of looked at him, I mean, he's always been like not a super flex, but like I don't know, a supreme flex where it's he's always going to be somebody I kind of flex into my lineup because of his versatility. So like if I need him as a running back, I'll play him at running back. If I need him at receiver, play him at receiver. But ultimately, he's really just a flex play.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at him now as strictly. I think I'm at the point now where I'm willing to play a lot of running backs over him because of the volume that they're going to get. Right, like a guy like Chase Edmonds is going to be involved in his offense. Right, Michael Carter, Daryl Williams, like those guys, they're going to be involved in their offenses, more involved than Cordell Patterson's been in recent weeks. Where I do look at Cordell Patterson is I'm willing to play him over some wide receiver 2s and 3s. Maybe not 2s based on last week, but some wide receiver 3s. Like I'm in a 3 wide receiver league. He's going to play for me there as my 3rd wide receiver because his floor is going to be safer than some other wide receivers because of this touchdown opportunity, right? So that's kind of you just kind of have to shift your outlook with Cordell Patterson and how you view him as a player.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that assessment pretty much.
Any other Jags that stuck out for you? Well, Alvin Kamara finishes the RB 35. That wasn't great. I mean,
that entire offense was just suffering. Like, it's the situation, honestly.
If I told you going into it that hey, they're playing with the 3rd string quarterback.
Like by Monday night, like it's too late. Like
I know, of course. Like you're gonna play him, but you're not gonna expect much. Like you're not.
You're hoping you were winning by that time.
Like you don't need a big Kamara game.
Yeah.
I at least thought that he would hit the 20 over 21.5 receiving yards. That Kamara not hitting that is just strikes a nerve with me for no particular reason or another. Yeah, I think that's really it from the Jags perspective. I don't really have much else here.
No.
Javonte Williams, maybe. Melvin Gordon. Is Melvin Gordon even anywhere near the top of this list? No.
No.
Melvin Gordon had a bad day as well.
That's nice, for Javonte.
That's nice for Javonte, who also had a bad day. All right, let's move on to these wide receivers, man. And the number 1 wide receiver on the week, you heard it here first from my guy, Craig Penniman, who sits in this aura of darkness now. Don't know what happened to him. But T. Higgins, 13 targets, 12 receptions, 194 receiving yards, 2 touchdown receptions, 43.4 PPR points. Ooh. Greg, you clearly saw this coming. He was your start of the week. So tell the people how this feels.
I mean, yeah, T. Higgins, I think just Jamar Chase balling in that first game, destroying T. Higgins, just climbing the momentum. And with that secondary in the matchup, T. Higgins is just going to eat in this matchup. I mean, this man's been, the stretch he's had over the last 5 weeks has been insane, getting over 100 yards, on over 110 yards in 4 of those 5 games. So yeah, he's becoming a number 1 receiver late in the season, doing what he's got to do. It's just happy to see that with also Jamar Chase in the offense, and just for dynasty, definitely.
Definitely, man. I mean, like, been saying it for I don't even know how long. It feels like forever now. Like, hey guys, I know Jamar Chase is putting up numbers, but the wide receiver you want to play is T. Higgins. And I know we were both on it, but he was your start of the week for sure. But this was like, did not see this coming, right? I did not see almost 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns and 12 receptions coming, right? Like, there was a point in the game though where they could not stop T. Higgins. Like there was a drive where he catches the ball in double coverage, then they go down to the goal line, and he just puts a move on the DB, runs an awesome.
He dropped that. He dropped the first one for a touchdown. He would have been wide open for a touchdown, and then they still threw it to him on like a whip route.
Yeah, it was a whip route.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man, this dude is
Eating.
like he's just so big and so long, and his hands are so huge.
Yeah,
just like a freak, man. It's wild. But the wide receiver 2 on the week, man, got it done on Christmas. Devontae Adams, 13 targets, 10 receptions, 114 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 33.4 PPR points on a day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here from Devontae Adams?
I mean, this is what he does every week. Devontae, he's the man. I mean, nothing really much more to say about this man. Like at this point, his career, his everything. Like he's one of the best receivers I'll ever see too.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because it takes me back to like when he was playing in college at Fresno State with Derek Carr, and I'm just watching this kid, and I'm like, yo, this kid's a baller. Like this kid can play. And then I remember people thought he was a bust after his like second year in the NFL. I think he was like filling in for Jordy Nelson. I remember I drafted him really high in fantasy that year. He ends up with like 700 receiving yards, like no touchdowns on the season. It was just like a terrible year. And since that moment, or since then, he's just taken off to be one of the best receivers in the league. But it's crazy because Packers fans literally wanted him to be cut and didn't want him on the team. So just crazy how it happens. Got to be patient with those wide receivers, especially. Moving on to the wide receiver 3 on the week. AJ Brown, man.
Yes, sir.
16 targets, 11 receptions, 145 receiving yards, and a touchdown in his first game back from the injured reserve list. Also was a historic day for AJ Brown as well, as he set an NFL record, or didn't really set a record. It was more like made history for having the most catches on third down. 8 catches on third down in an NFL game in the last 40 years. So big ups to AJ Brown on that. He pretty much accounted for most of 69% of Tennessee's receiving yards. That is the highest of any player this season with a minimum of 200 team receiving yards. That's from ESPN Stats and Info there. So AJ Brown, you're a man. You're the man. So we love you on this pod. You know that. So 31.5 PPR points. That was great, man.
Yeah, facts. I mean, he this is, big ups to the who thinks receivers don't matter's club. Like this is one of those games like you're like, oh man, wow, he actually impacted the game in a huge way. The MVP of the game. If you're getting that many third downs, that's chain movers. That's literally sustaining your offense and getting the win for your team.
Nah, man, receivers definitely matter. They just don't lead to Super Bowls.
Right. Facts.
Moving on to the rounding out the top 12 here. Isaiah McKenzie, like, phew.
Yeah.
The wide receiver 5, Deebo Samuel. 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 7, Byron Pringle. 8, Jalen Waddle. 9, Amari Cooper. Also tied with 9 for 9, Stephon Diggs. 11, Cooper Kupp. And 12, Antonio Brown. Greg, your thoughts on any of these top 12 performances here?
Yeah, and I definitely was expecting like the Byron Pringle, maybe like the COVID ads at the Sunday morning, Byron Pringle, and like just in general other players out there, but definitely not Isaiah McKenzie. Like that was a pretty big day from him. And of course, AB found in the top 12. It makes me feel better that I held him that long for no reason,
Yeah, man. I mean, Byron Pringle is funny because I made a lineup earlier in the week. I always do this either Sunday or Monday. I make a lineup. It's just kind of like my first reaction, like DFS lineup, and Byron Pringle was in that lineup. And I always play that lineup. I just forgot that he was in it, and I thought it was really funny because I totally would not have been on Byron Pringle with Tyreek Hill in. But it was just interesting that happens. Isaiah McKenzie, that's the one that kind of irks me, though, because I feel like I should have seen that one coming because you got no Gabe Davis, no Cole Beasley. Emmanuel Sanders was banged up with the knee injury. Isaiah McKenzie is Cole Beasley's primary backup as the slot receiver. Like this one, like I've been on Isaiah McKenzie in the past, so like I'm actually mad at myself for not being on this one. The other one, Jalen Waddle. I mean, he's gonna break that record for most receptions by a rookie in NFL season. I mean, he's already passed. He's already passed Michael Thomas, who had 92. I think he had 93 at, I don't even remember. I think it was like halftime. He had 93 receptions. Yeah, he's got 96 right now. The record by Anquan Bolden is 101, and that's in a 16-game season. Jalen Waddles just needs 6 receptions in the next game to break that in a 16-game season. So you can't even say it's like, oh, it's because he played 17 games. It's like, no, he got it done in 16 games. So I just hope that when he does, I hope that
he also missed the game too. So
you said what?
He's missed the game as well.
Oh, he's missed the game.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. Also hope that he gets to 1,000 yards before he gets to 100 catches. That's also just a hope, 100 catches with less than 1,000 yards doesn't look as impressive.
I know, but for PPR, he's very solid. That's it.
Oh no, PPR, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then my guy, man, I've been on him for. I was on him earlier and it didn't pan through, but he's been hot as of late. My guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, finishing as a wide receiver 1 again. I mean, the dude, 11 targets, 9 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. And this is still playing with a backup quarterback. That's not even Jared Goff. So it's from it's like a downgrade that's already like downgraded, But yeah, that's really it. Amari Cooper, thanks for finally showing up. When my team's been eliminated, but I appreciate you, man. Thanks. Anybody sticks out as a honorable mention there for you, Greg? I know with the receiver position, and a lot of people could be honorable mentions, but does anybody really stick out there for you? Tyler Boyd definitely got to be one, right?
Yeah, Tyler Boyd definitely coming through. All 3 of the receivers definitely play well. Justin Jefferson continuing to be impactful. Shout out to Joshua Palmer. Shout out to all my scrub receivers.
How long? Serious question. How long till we could legitimately say Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football? How long should we wait?
When Devontae Adams falls off at some point.
When Devontae falls off, bro.
It's Devontae, bro.
Bro, the trajectory though. I'm just going off the trajectory, right? No receiver has been this good in their first 2 years. No receiver in history of the National Football League has been this good through 2 years of their career.
Right. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I mean he's top 5. He's definitely top 5. He's top. I mean, Devontae, Hill, maybe him. I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I'm ready to put him right there. With
no, man. Tyreek Hill is nice and all, but I can't put him there. I haven't seen him play without Patrick Mahomes all that much in a full season. I've seen him do some games, right?
I mean, it's not his fault. They're going to be together the whole career, probably, pretty much.
Probably.
She's going to have
Jefferson's not there with Kirk. Devontae's got Aaron Rodgers. My man Tyreek Hill's got Patrick Mahomes. This dude's doing it with Kirk Cousins, Captain Kirk.
Yo, we like Kirk. Kirk is all right. Kirk is a good
player. But you know who doesn't like Kirk? Justin Jefferson. Every other reception. Damn it, Kirk. You can put a highlight tape of Justin Jefferson after a Kirk Cousins incompletion. Just throwing his hands up like this. There was one time the mic was hot. He threw some expletives through Kirk's way.
Hey, it wasn't as bad as Diggs' expletives on Sunday. Gotta love it.
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, he has a message for a lot of Pats fans when he scored a touchdown.
Oh man. Honorable mention. I mean, yeah, Josh Palmer, Ty.
Oh yeah, Braxton Berrios too. If you're in a return yardage league.
Oh, Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, if you're in a return yardage league, because got that return yardage touchdown, yes sir.
Yeah, I mean Braxton Berrios. I mean he's been doing pretty well as of late. Now let's talk about some Jags. It's like this guy has been a staple on this list. He even scored a 41-yard touchdown. He's still going to end up on this list. DK Metcalf.
I'm like that. After he scored, I saw him score. I'm like, oh, he made it. He finally, came through. But guess he didn't do anything outside of that.
No, it was.
Just like the other game too. He
After
had
that
one
touchdown,
after 70 yards and touchdown one game as well. It was like a couple games ago.
bro, he scored a 41-yard touchdown, right? He finished the game with 41 receiving yards on 2 receptions.
Crazy. Hopefully in a bonus league, get that 40-yard touchdown, 40-yard catch. Hopefully.
My wide receiver start of the week, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I'm thinking Dak Prescott's going off. CeeDee's gonna join.
He's got to get something. Like, yeah, we're. I mean, who's scoring right now?
Malik Turner.
Crazy. Great run.
Anybody else really? I mean, Jarvis Landry.
Hollywood too.
Hollywood. Yeah. I mean, Hollywood. That one was gonna be tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, but with the season he's having, like he was like a wide receiver one.
Just like another variable. It's like you got a guy coming in, you don't even know what the chemistry's like. Yeah. It was just tough to trust him.
He threw for 300 yards.
He did. What about your boy, man, Chase Claypool?
I mean, he had 2. It's a factor of bet, man. That's all I gotta say. I mean, if Deontay didn't play well, then I can't get on Chase that hard because he made some good plays, like individual nice plays. But yeah, I think once Ben go, I think don't worry about him in Dynasty, man. Once Ben is out of there, it'll be fine.
Kadarius Toney, 9 targets, 4 receptions.
He played? Oh snap!
Right?
Yo, that's crazy. Nah, he's not a Jag, yo. No one on the Giants is a Jag, yo. This is the expectation for this offense. I'm telling you, it's the first offense in the league, yo.
The question is, we now know that Kadarius Toney played. The question is, did he leave the game injury free?
Is that true? Like, does he have?
I have no idea. We'll have to find out when we get the injury report later. But some other Jags I'm gonna throw out there: Terry McLaurin, Tyler Lockett. Where are you doing with Terry McLaurin, bro? Like, rest of the season, I mean, championship week. Let's say you made it somehow, starting Terry McLaurin these last 3 weeks. What are you doing there?
Nah, I'm definitely benching him. I was ready to bench him last week. Yeah, you could find him. You can find someone. I mean, I think Sunday morning too. If you really need to make that move, like you could really find some people. Like, so yeah, don't be scared to make those ads at the Sunday morning ads.
Yeah, man, definitely those Sunday morning ads. I mean, sometimes you could screw yourself reacting to news that really isn't news. But if you see something actionable, like they say, hey, there's Gabe Davis out. With Gabe Davis out and Cole Beasley out, expect Isaiah McKenzie to have a large role. Yep. Like that might actually make some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
ones I don't really trust sometimes are the running back ones, especially. Yeah,
it's definitely a receiver rule, kind of. I like that. Yeah.
The running back ones, I'm like, I don't trust you, bro.
Unless your name is like Rex Burkett. Like if you were a good running back in the past, like productive in the past, I could work with you. But yeah, it's just some random name, like nah.
Jamar Jefferson. I'm like,
nah. If you're highly ranked out of college, like yeah, we could work with you too. Like
right. Like you some draft capital in there, like 3rd round or better. Like we could work with this. All right. Let's move on to the tight end position and the number 1 tight end on the week. No surprise here. Mark Andrews, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 125 receiving yards, and a touchdown reception. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. 26.5 PPR points there. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Mr. Andrews?
Man, best tight end in the league. I don't care, man. This man is amazing, yo. It's crazy, yo. Just playing him, like at least right now, like this man, George Kittle. I think I still give him maybe a slight edge, but Mark Andrews, I think he's make that leap over Travis Kelce. I'm here. I'm with it.
Bro, my man has like almost 1,200 receiving yards right now, bro.
Yeah. But if George Kittle played all his games, he probably would be doing that too, though. Like,
bro, but the 3 game stretch that he's on right now is got to be like one of the greatest 3 game stretches ever because
115, 136, 125, like that's Justin Jefferson numbers.
Bro, like he's on a 16 game pace over these last 3 weeks, 181 targets, 155 receptions, 2,005 yards and 21 touchdowns. Like, that's just over the last 3 weeks. That's
Yeah.
the 16-game pace that he's on. And that's with 3 different quarterbacks.
He's gotten over 100 yards 5 times. Other than that, the other 3 times, like it's not like this is a stretch he doesn't know how to do. Like he can do this. Yeah, man, insane with the situation too. That's got to put him. Give him a slight bump too.
Yeah, nah, man, he's been killing it, man. Big ups to Mark Andrews, who people thought was at least like tight end 5 coming into this year.
Yeah.
Your boy here included. Like, so this is crazy. So rounding out this top 12, rounding out this top 3 here. The tight end 2 on the week. Ever since I said that this man evaporated, seems like
I had him back though. I took him back. I forgave him.
Dalton Schultz, 9 targets, 8 receptions, 82 receiving yards, and a touchdown there. That was good for 22.2 PPR points. Greg, your thoughts on performance here from Dalton Schultz?
Yeah, you asked like the Thanos, like what did it cost? It was basically CD Lamb, so like that's kind of that. It's Dalton Schultz did what he had to do in this 56-14 game. Like everyone pretty much ate except CD, so it was crazy.
Oh man, yeah, Dalton Schultz. I mean, we know he's capable of this for sure. We hadn't seen much target volume from him recently, but he's gotten it these last 2 weeks. So I think you got to roll him out there again this week. And it's not like he's finishing here because like Travis Kelce or Darren Waller or some of these other guys are out. Like this is like 22.2 PPR points is like very, very good for a tight end. So tight end 3 on the week, Gerald Everett. 5 targets, 4 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown there. 16.8 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance by Gerald Everett?
Oh yeah, definitely a nice performance from him. Think popular waiver ad coming into the week, especially at the tight end position. So he came through for the people that added him.
Yeah, Gerald Everett, somebody I've been on for these last 3 weeks at least. I mean, especially when Tyler Lockett was out with COVID. He was somebody that definitely was grabbing my attention. And, Tyler Lockett not playing well last week kind of made sense that Gerald Everett steps up here. Rounding out this top 12, the tight end 4, Kyle Pitts, my start of the week. Tight end 5, Zach Ertz. The tight end 6, John Bates. The tight end 7, Evan Ingram. The tight end 8, Jimmy Graham. Tight end 9, Foster Moreau. Tight end 10, Hayden Hurst. The tight end 11, Brevin Jordan. And the tight end 12, Jared Cook. Greg, your thoughts on the performances here from these top 12s?
Shout out to Brevin Jordan coming through. I know a name we mentioned in the past couple of weeks, so that was big time. John Bates also coming through, just crazy. 3 targets, that was a touchdown in Nas category. Evan Ingram, stream of the week, coming through too with the good play.
Was he my stream of the week?
That's what I thought you mentioned him. I don't know, or you maybe mentioned him as a play because Philly worst team against tight ends. So
yeah,
it's a great play. Other than that, solid week. I mean, not a lot of big names here, but
whenever we do the show in one day, like we did, that show is a blur to me. I have no idea what I said.
Word. I think it was more of a mention, like Evan Ingram to play.
I don't know.
Which is that's impressive on the Giants, like to say someone's gonna do well.
Somebody having a top, a respectable form. Cole Kmet was my stream of the week. Yeah, Cole Kmet was my stream of the week. I did mention Ingram though. I definitely
did. Yeah.
And Foster Moreau, like again.
Nah, get him out. Yeah, it's upsetting. His timing too. His timing is so upsetting for all the people that had we're adding him, ready to plug him in for Darren Waller. Good. Well, that was one of the rules. Like, highly rated. He's got talent, and he wasn't coming through, but now he's here.
One of my favorite stats from this weekend. Shout out to my dude Dave Gattieri, who's been on this pod at least twice in the offseason. Kyle Pitts now has more receiving yards than every receiver from the 2020 receiving class not named Justin Jefferson.
It's crazy. I mean,
So,
hey man, if ESPN leagues want to do it, man, just change that position. That's all I gotta say.
right now, Kyle Pitts
Man caught a go route like yesterday. It was crazy. Like this is literally a wide
he was six catches, 6 targets, 102 receiving yards. Just needs 51 receiving yards to have 1,000-yard season here. Pretty sure he'll get that next week. So yeah, Kyle Pitts, wheels up. I don't think we have any honorable mentions because it's tight ends. So those, y'all ain't gonna get mentioned. Do we have any Jags?
George Kittle.
Yeah. Noah Fant.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet.
And Gronk. Yeah.
That's all we got. Oh, Hunter Henry.
I guess Mike Gesicki too.
And Mike Gesicki.
Yeah. Big names definitely were in the top 12, so I guess they would be Jags.
But if you had Mike Gesicki and you played against Gronk, problem solved.
There you go. Yeah. Or George Kittle even. Like you were,
Yeah. Or George
Kittle. A lot of playoff tight ends.
Yeah. I think that's all we got in terms of the player breakdowns. In terms of some injuries, one of the big pieces of news that we got over the weekend was Daryl Henderson. He will be out for the remainder of the year with an MCL sprain. So that leaves the backfield to Sony Michel, who will be the lead back, but not just Sony Michel. We also could potentially have Cam Akers, who was recently activated off the injured reserve after suffering an Achilles injury back in, I think it was July. He suffered the injury. So it seems like he could make a return here, but not really something I would look to in my fantasy championship or anything like that. It would be strictly just a stash if you're playing in the 2-week playoff or something, or a keeper league or anything like that. But in terms of injuries, Jimmy Garoppolo, the other injury that is pretty big news, seems to have suffered a right thumb sprain. And for those who don't know, Jimmy Garoppolo is right-handed. So, I would imagine it's pretty tough to play quarterback without your thumb on your dominant throwing hand. So,
yeah,
would expect, nothing official yet, but I would expect that Trey Lance makes another start here. So that's definitely interesting for championship week. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. In terms of some other injuries, Miles Sanders, he broke his hand, so he will not be available for this game here. Or says whether they can see he can play through it, but I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. I think that's really it in terms of injuries. Yeah, that's really it. Everything else is like COVID related, which I'm not going to talk about here. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So, Greg, let's talk about waivers. So, quarterbacks, you're usually pretty set. But you're streaming, maybe you had an injury, maybe you're a Lamar Jackson manager, and you've been basically streaming for 3 weeks here. What are you doing at the quarterback position this week?
I mean, if you have a quarterback and need him a quarterback, I think probably the number one ad. I know a lot of people did drop Taysom Hill. He's back down to 42%. So if he's going to come back from COVID list, like a lot of these players that are coming back from COVID list may have gotten dropped. I would check for those players to see. They're going to play Carolina next week. I think he can give you a solid week. Carson Wentz, he's 48% rostered. He's got Las Vegas next week. He's had a solid stretch the last couple of weeks, making some big plays actually to beat the Cardinals. But I think he'll be also a solid play. Trey Lance, I think it's got to be an ad just because of the injury news, and then just monitoring down the line. I think if you have the roster spots, you have the money in championship week, get rid of all your stuff that's just not worth it and just make some speculative ads because Trey Lance could be a person that even if you're blocking the other person you're playing, I think this is a good strategy to add. And Tua didn't take advantage of his matchup. He's last in the ranking. It's 41% roster. They do have Tennessee. It's a good spot for a bounce back. So yeah, that's where my rankings are for that.
Yeah, I like the well, I like two things that you said. Tua, I like him this week. I think the game wasn't necessarily the greatest game for him against New Orleans. Right, like New Orleans never showed any sign of life that they were going to come back in this game, and the Miami defense was just suffocating. So it's like you don't need to do much as a quarterback except just not turn the ball over and just keep the ball keep your offense on the field, score some points, run the clock, right? So I think in a game against Tennessee, where all these Tennessee games always end up wild, like
word, yeah.
They always end up in some crazy games. Tennessee defense isn't that great. They let up a lot of explosive plays. So I think Tua's could actually have a nice day. I like the Taysom Hill call. The other thing you said, I do like, using this opportunity here where it's week 16, right, or week 17 rather. If you're in championship week, if this is your championship week, there's no reasons to be holding backup quarterbacks. No reason to be holding stashing a player that could potentially break out or something. If you're not going to start them, there's no real reason to have them on your team unless you're starting them. Like obviously with COVID and everything, we want to maintain our depth. So I'm not saying like don't drop somebody that's startable, but there's no reason to be stashing, a backup tight end or something like that or anything like that. So if COVID news hits, just react to it. It's really just hopefully it's really just you and one other person in your league that are really making a lot of transactions. But obviously a lot of leagues are different. Maybe you have some prizes or last place punishments, so everybody's still active. But just try to, like, I'm mostly about making sure my starting lineup is good, playing some defense against my opponent. So like if they need a defense or they need a tight end, like I'll block them just so that they can't have them. I agree with that. So Greg, on that same, not on that note, but on the note of waivers, what are we looking at in terms of running backs?
Running backs, the ranking for me, I think 1 is Rex Burkhead at 14%. 2 is Derry Ongobowale, especially James Robinson will be out. They play New England, so that's a tough matchup. But like it's tough scrappings at running back, so those two probably gonna get the most volume. And then as speculative as guys that it's COVID season, it's going to be rough. Keyshawn Vaughn, I think is an ad, and Derek Orr, both those guys. You never know. Darrell Williams midweek will test positive, so you have Derek Orr in your roster ready to go. Keyshawn Vaughn as well, if Ronald Jones was to go down with COVID or even injury midweek.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Like picking up the backup running back has become like even more, like a speculative backup running back has become even more important with COVID, right? Like the fact that Derek Gore now is one man away from being a lead back in Kansas City, like Darrell Williams could test positive or something. These things could easily happen, right? Like if you're playing in a super flex league, I know it's crazy, but some backup quarterbacks, right? Like, I was, if obviously you're gonna pick up Trey Lance, but Mariota is somebody that like I've been picking up like in super flex leagues, just pick him up and drop him, pick him up and drop him, just in case like you never know, something could happen to Derek Carr midweek, anything. So something to note there. But Greg, you're what about wide receiver position? What about there? What do we got?
Receivers, it's definitely Swim Pickens as well, and it's definitely guys for waiver that I'm gonna go spend money on. It's only probably Backs and Barrios, 66% rostered. Robbie Anderson is getting the target volume, 37%. If you want to take a dart throw on him in deeper leagues, and Rashad Bateman, if he gets a good situation as far as a quarterback, I think he's also a play. But those 3 guys, not really big on going hard for wide receivers and waivers because you can really find someone midweek or Saturday morning, Sunday morning. But those 3 guys maybe you could spend some change on.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Another guy I'm gonna throw out there. Another name I'm gonna throw out there. Elijah Moore.
Oh yeah, he's back. That's right. Yeah.
He's supposed to be back. We don't have any official word if he is back. But he ended up on injured reserve, which put him out at a minimum of 3 weeks with a quad injury.
Right.
While he was on injured reserve, he ended up on the COVID list. So he's not actually on injured reserve as he's on the COVID list. Don't know if he's still dealing with the quad. I would imagine that like he would be eligible to return with the quad injury this week. But if he doesn't clear COVID protocols, because that's the part that's kind of making me nervous, because he's been on the COVID list for 2 weeks now. So if he can clear COVID protocols, then I think that, depending on how his ramp up goes with practices and stuff and things like that, he's got a matchup here against Tampa Bay, which, we know what Tampa Bay has been able to give up to wide receivers and opposing passing games. And we know what Elijah Moore was when he was obviously playing and healthy. So worth a shot there if you're desperate at receiver to flex. I think that's really tight end position, Greg. What do we got there?
Yeah, 3 names. Gerald Everett being top of the list at 42%. Probably get the most volume at these guys. Forrest Moreau, again, keeping on your roster. He's still at 22%. Darren Waller may not go for probably the remainder of the season. You never know. And Brevin Jordan, number 3 at 1%. Just gonna keep mentioning his name as just that desperation. You got nothing left. He could be an ad to make your day.
No, I definitely like those as well. Again, tight end's rough, but like a guy that's either going to see target volume or has an opportunity to catch a touchdown.
Brevin Jordan, Dynasty. I like it.
No, Brevin Jordan is definitely somebody that, if you were playing Dynasty, if you were looking at tight ends, he was definitely on that list. I think he was my tight end 3. I'll have to go back and look. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all we got for waivers. So everybody make sure we got a little similar schedule as to last week. We're going to do one other show this week. It'll be tomorrow, Wednesday. So you'll probably hear it on either Wednesday night or Thursday. But we will be breaking down every single game, all 16 of them. So trying to get you guys to your championships. Hopefully a lot of you guys made it. And you just have one more game to win. And for those of you that are sitting there wondering, like, but what about us? We play in week 18. Our league is archaic. Don't worry. We'll be here for you too, as we do every year. So, but after that, if we start winding down, you're not going to get much of us after that. I mean, we'll have the review show of looking at, all of our, what we said right, what we got right. Also looking at, our misses as well. So our hits and misses segment, which is always fun, somewhat sobering, but it's also fun. But yeah, so winding down here to the end of the season. So it's a little bittersweet, but I can't tell you guys that we're not somewhat relieved, because it is very long and it does take a lot of work, but it is also very fun. So that being said, just make sure you come back tomorrow. We will be breaking down all the games, doing the streams of the week, doing starts of the week, all of that. Looking ahead to week 17, and then come back the following week, obviously, for week 18 breakdowns and whatnot. But until tomorrow, y'all, we will catch y'all later. Have a good one. We're out of here. Peace.
We out.